WWE bans mention of Iran-Israel conflict on Raw. We have the plans for the WWE Women's Tag Team Championships after Liv Morgan's injury last week. And we have plans for new AEW Tag Team Championships, which have been revealed. Will they happen? Will they not? Find out soon. So earlier today, we covered the report from Fightful Select about this weekend's WWE shows. And apparently, as of us sat here right now, no plans have changed. They're still going to go to Saudi Arabia for SmackDown and for Night of Champions. However, off the back of that report, then Brian Alvarez came out saying that if there was going to be cancellations for flights for talents to go to Saudi Arabia, the place in America, the show could be rescheduled to. If they do it, they haven't done it, Bill. But if they do, it'll be somewhere between Ohio and Pennsylvania based off where the company's production trucks are based currently.
That's quite a wide area that they could potentially be moving the show to. At this point, it's looking quite unlikely with they were meant to be flying out midweek. It's now, Tuesday? We're coming into Wednesday tomorrow. I feel like that's kind of the last minute they can make that decision.
Yeah, production staff are out there as well at the moment as well.
Indeed.
But as we say, as of this recording, everything's going along as expected until it isn't, which we don't expect it to happen anyway. Obviously, last night on Raw, the show was promoted heavily throughout, but we have some news from the Wrestling Observer Radio about things that could be mentioned, things that couldn't be mentioned.
Yes, so there was no actual mention of what is currently going on in the Middle East. The Wrestling Observer Radio saying that they weren't allowed to mention it. They just were not allowed to mention anything. That's probably one of the reasons why they weren't allowed to address it, because I don't think they wanted those questions being asked as far as everything. It was quite like they're very much still pushing the show. It's going to be in Riyadh this Friday. It's going to be Riyadh. It's going to be an event that's taking place there. There was no allusions to the fact that it could potentially not happen because of the current situation that is currently ongoing.
Yeah, it's interesting in front of the camera, according to this report, they weren't allowed to mention it, but just based off little Dom Mysterio. Because little Dom Mysterio, I reckon there's a chance it was mentioned behind the scenes, like, oh, if you really don't want to go, now is your chance to speak up because you don't have to go based off what's going on in the world. Because Dom was advertised for the show until last night's Raw, where he got an injury angle, and now he's not there. And it does look like, having watched Raw now in full, that he did just say,
It's either him or AJ. One of the two have gone, actually, I don't want to go, so they'll maybe move that match to another point in time. I wonder if maybe that's why we got the Karrion Kross Sami Zayn match put onto that show, just to make up for maybe a lack of people going to be on there. But I'm sure we will maybe hear more on this situation soon. It seems to be quite an ongoing one, both just in the wider sense of the world and in the sense of WWE.
Yes. Women's Tag Team Championships, the plans now have been revealed after, of course, Liv Morgan's freak injury on last week's Raw. She goes down and hurts the shoulder, and she's expected to be out for up to 6 months. It's emerged soon after that WWE did not plan to vacate the Women's Tag Team titles, and Peter Insider have added this report ahead of Monday night's Raw, with the expectation within the company that Roxanne Perez will indeed tag team up with Raquel Rodriguez and just hold the tag team titles, as if Liv Morgan was never a thing.
It's the smart move. It means that you can continue with this reign that and the storyline that's going on with Roxanne and the Judgment Day without actually derailing the actual tag team division, because the women's tag team titles are so cursed. It seems to be every few months there's an issue with those title belts. We saw it last year, at the start of this year, where Jade was injured and then Naomi stepped up, so it's not like
she was nearly murdered.
Sorry, yes, she was nearly murdered. It's not like it's something that can't happen.
Yeah.
And I think this is the best way to allow Liv to come back, and you've got a ready-made feud if you want it.
It's an interesting one, because it seems to write itself in that Raquel maybe gets a little bit too on board with Roxanne. The jealous lover, Liv Morgan, comes back, and obviously that's the way the Judgment Day splits up. But before this injury, it looked like Raquel would go with Liv, Roxanne would go with Finn. Don't be stuck in the middle, excuse me.
You've got a little, it's like Dawn being pulled on both sides.
Goodness me. But of course, after their doings on last night's Raw, Raquel and Roxanne, they were mixing up with Rhea Ripley. Rhea Ripley was stuck through a table. And of course, there's a street fight now between Raquel Rodriguez and Rhea Ripley, which of course the stipulation means that Roxanne Perez will not get involved at all, will she?
Definitely not. Absolutely not. That can't happen in a street fight. That's not allowed.
It'll never happen. Over to AEW we go for the next portion of the video. Bodyslam.net, I'll read this out verbatim. 2 different people have outlined the same thing, which proves that plans for some new AEW Tag Team Championships are at least in the works. They're saying, this is how the report goes, AEW had custom father and son tag team tag team titles, in brackets, intergenerational tag titles, is the branding made for quite some time now. It has been quietly in the works. It's what led to the recent on-screen focus with Christian Cage and Nick Wayne. It's also why Billy Gunn's presence was ramped up alongside the Acclaimed, specifically his Dynamite with Bones, playing off the daddy-ass moniker.
These tag team belts, to me, are baffling. It's just a crazy concept for a tag team championship. How do you define what is an intergenerational tag team?
I'll tell you why, Fraser. Because plans, the report continues, for other father and son combos to get involved too. Ricky Morton and his son, Yvonne Eric, father and son pairing, Kerry and his son, obviously, and even a Jurassic Express reunion is apparently being mooted around because apparently prehistoric lineage counts for something here. It feels like something that Christian Cage would do. Aha! We have beat the Hurt Syndicate. Myself and my son are tag team championships. We've got
custom-made titles to celebrate my father. It feels like it won't really work away from Christian Cage.
And it doesn't need to.
It doesn't need to work. I don't want to see these as an actual thing in AEW, but it says originally creative plans had Christian and Nick Wayne facing off with the Hurt Syndicate, with one of them turning on the other during a title match. The angle hasn't aired yet, but the direction was part of a wider plan. Women's tag team titles were made at the same time as those father and son belts, and both have just sat on the shelf for about a year. So they have the physical belts.
Yeah.
They literally have them ready to go. We've not seen them. Maybe this is because Christian's not been on TV as much, and they're just waiting for the right time. I don't know how successful they'll be.
I think a good 2 or 3 months of Christian Cage and Nick taking on all father and son combinations in the world ever has fantastic legs for a tag team storyline.
As long as once they've dropped them, that's it. I don't want to see Anthony Bowens and Billy Gunn as a run as
I agree.
Father and son tag team champions.
But the AEW tag team ranks do need some work because we do need good bloody challenges for the Hurt Syndicate because we haven't had much for a little while now. But hopefully that happens. It sounds like a good idea to me.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be fun if it's with Christian.
Yes. He can do no wrong, that evil old bastard. Anyway, continuing with Christian Cage off the back of that tag team championship story, you might be wondering where Cope is.
He's been missing for quite some time, and it looks like there were some major creative plans that could have involved Cope's return and working with Christian Cage against FTR. That's according to Fightful Select. This would have had FTR obviously turning heel on Cope. We saw that. And we would have had Christian back to kind of save him. Yeah, which in theory works if Christian can still be an evil man and Cope is like the straight man. If Cope just makes Christian see the error of his ways and makes him into a valiant, noble horse. I'm not on board with that, but the yin and the yang of Christian and Cage, Christian and Cope. It's like the enemy of my enemy is my friend type of thing. And you could just have still Christian being an absolute bastard.
But the Fightful Select report continues saying those we've spoken to claim that Cope's on-screen absence actually wasn't supposed to take this long, and there have been internal discussions about bringing him back at Double or Nothing to kick off the feud. There'd even been discussion of Cope returning to AEW at Double or Nothing. Specifically, it was noted to us that Christian wants to see things through creatively with Nick Wayne, and has not been. It's been put into place for some time. My mouth is not working today.
I understand Christian wanting to finish things off with Nick Wayne and conclude that storyline. He absolutely should. It's just crazy that Cope's run has been criticised post-injury, right? It was going quite well up until that point, and it's not quite gone as well after that. I don't know how much interest people have in Cope and Christian Cage right now because Christian feels so much higher placed in AEW than Cope is, and it just isn't as attractive as it maybe was a year and a half ago, especially when how good Christian is now.
That's the way to do it. With Christian continuing what he's doing, maybe without the family, maybe the family's gone from now, but Cope trying to make Christian be a good guy, but Christian just saying, meh. I think there's lots of legs in that, but we'll see what happens. Will it make TV? Will it not? Who knows? You'll have to watch AEW Dynamite Collision to find out. You'll also have to watch Cultaholic Wrestling this week, because of course we have our pay-per-view coverage for the Saudi shows at the weekend. Pitches live on the channel tomorrow, predictions on Thursday, the Cultaholic Wrestling podcast with Matthew on Friday, and of course a live stream with all proceeds go to Amnesty, as always, absolutely. As we all do. So and obviously the WTF moments on the Patreon next week. What happened at on the YouTube channel coming out with the show. You know what we do here. Videos.
It's a big week of content.
Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.